Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. This is the instant match reaction for QPR 2, Everton 2. Everton have been knocked out of the Carabao Cup on penalties, losing 8-7. 8-7, I think, in the shootout. Where do we begin here? We may as well start at the beginning of the game. Everton started this game as they went on, really timid starts, allowing QPR to grow with the ball, grow in confidence. I can sort of understand this is Benitez's tactic, is Everton to sit back, allow the other team to have the ball, and we'll counter. We're sort of becoming a counter-attacking side, which can be exciting. It's not necessarily negative football just because we sit behind the ball. Although you sort of expect going to a championship side that we would sort of step up, especially with Ben Godfrey at centre-back, step up the pitch a little bit more and try and control the game. But it was a timid start. I think Iwobi set the tone by passing the ball out of play twice. He kept giving the ball away. And then he gave the ball away on the edge of the area, and that's when Charlie Austin had his first initial sighter of the game. He put it into the Everton fans behind the game. It was behind the goal. And then Iwobi showed why he was in the team, why he's being pushed higher up by Benitez. Townsend was the main threat today. He played Iwobi in. Iwobi raced behind, pulled it back for Gordon, who controlled well, but his shot was saved. And then a few minutes later, we were 1-0 down, and the sort of creeping negativity that's been coming since the good start to the season, since the lineup really at Villa, and then the crazy 10 minutes. I think we can all sort of concede that it wasn't the end of the world, the Aston Villa result. But tonight was a great opportunity to bounce back and sort of put that right. And the sort of worrying signs of, do we have the squad depth here? Which we sort of know we don't. All sort of came to fruition tonight. So the first goal was really poor defensively, as we were on for both of their goals. Tom Davies was beaten far too easily in midfield. They slipped the ball in behind the defence, which I thought the defending was too sort of static, it didn't have any intensity to it. It was a really terrible goal to concede. So the ball was pulled back to, I think it was their fullback who delivered across. Begovic palmed it straight into the path of Charlie Austin, who must be about 40 years old now. He headed home with ease. So that was a poor start. And then we did attempt to grow into the game. I thought I got the feeling if we turn it on here, just step it up a couple of gears, then we'll have too much of QPR. Gomez had a couple of chances shooting wide. He probably needs to work on his shooting, really. Andre Gomez, he dragged a couple of shots wide. And then 27 minutes gone, QPR had another sort of half chance. The ball was stood up to the back post for Charlie Austin, who was just put off at the last second. So I think he headed wide. But again, it stemmed from Gomez going into a challenge 50-50, and one where really with his frame he probably should have done more, but he was brushed off easily, and that was the sort of game, really, the midfield battle with Andre Gomez and Tom Davies. They were losing it from the off, and QPR were much more aggressive with intent to go forward, to play better football. They looked like the better side. You could hear the crowd chanting Premier League or having a laugh and all that. It's just, it's typical what you get in the Carabao Cup, but you couldn't really argue with them at that stage. And then we got this golden chance out of absolutely nowhere. Long clearance upfield, Rondon flicked it on, and Iwobi was in. The QPR defender slipped, Iwobi was in, 1-on-1. Keeper spread himself really well to make a great save, and it just sparked something in Everton. We were still up the pitch. From that chance when the ball, I think from Gordon, was played inside to Townsend. Townsend, lovely clip over the defence. Dean ran onto it, finished first time under the goalkeeper. 1-1, and it was sort of an opportunity then to think, okay, let's turn this game on its head. Let's show what we're about and step up the gears now. But it didn't really work out like that. We had a couple of minutes after then, actually. Gomez played Rondon in, and it looked like he could have been in for a minute, but he showed just how slow he is. He was never getting away from the man, but he did, in fairness, do what he does well and held the play up. I think Gordon found Townsend, who had a shot comfortably saved. And at that point, you thought, okay, we're going to turn the screw now. It's going to come in our favour. And suddenly, out of nowhere, we were behind again, which, that was the chance to kick on, really. I think they had the ball on the left-hand side. A lot of their attacks did come down their left-hand side. Whether they were deliberately targeting John Joe Kenny or not, I don't know, but he was very poor today. I thought he was poor defensively and even worse offensively. Not a great night for him. And but it was Tom Davis, I think, really, that didn't get across, perhaps didn't put enough pressure on the cross that came in initially. But Godfrey didn't get tight enough to Austin. I don't think him or Holgate really took enough responsibility tonight in their defending. I don't know if they really are the pair you really want to see together. I think you need a more experienced head, whether it's Keane or, in my opinion, our best defender is Yerry Mina. I think without him, we sort of look all over the place, which again is this worrying trend if we haven't really got the squad depth. And Mina himself likes an injury, a muscle injury for a few weeks here and there. It's the worrying trend tonight that this was our chance to almost test what little squad depth we do have, and they've shown that it's championship standard at best, really. So the cross came in from the left-hand side, and all Charlie Austin's had to do is just glance it, and it's 2-1, and suddenly we're behind again. And QPR, to be honest, were more in the ascendancy than us before the break. The half-time notes I've got written here is, we'll never, ever, ever, ever win the League Cup. Worrying signs about the threadbare squad. Defence look all over the show, yep. And just a note on Kenny and Davis, as I mentioned, I think it was written in The Athletic that Rafa wanted to sell Tom Davis and replace him with Sean Longstaff, which has raised a few eyebrows, but to be honest, every time Tom Davis seems to get his opportunity to come in and sort of impress and put a claim on the shirt, he hasn't taken it, and this was a great chance for him tonight. And as we know at the end, I mean, a penalty is a penalty, but his performance was poor in my eyes too. Also, the half-time notes is, please, Rafa, bin the short corners, because they never amount to anything. Which, ironically, we scored from a corner in the straight away in the second half. So we came out in the second half, equalised early on. Townsend, who was our best player, really, everything seems to be going through him, which in itself is worrying. But when we signed Andros Townsend, he was sort of supposed to be back up. Will he play? Will he actually start that many games? Possibly not. And he's suddenly looking like our best player, to be honest. Which in itself is I could have been buzzing right now if the penalties went the right way, but it's hard to go over this game again as it is. So yeah, scruffy goal, Townsend, right place, right time, and then again you think, right, we're back in it. This is the opportunity to take ownership of the game. I think Rondon has his half a chance. Good work from Townsend and Gordon. Pulled back for Rondon, who skied it. From then, Benitez brought Decore on for Gomez, which this may have been a planned substitution before the game. Gomez hasn't played a 90, I don't think, yet this season, but I thought it was Davis maybe that he should have brought off, but either way, Decore sort of brought that steel that was missing, a lot more energy, box to box, and we did, in my opinion, look the better side from then in the second half, albeit a bit of comic defending when John Joe Kenny misplaced a pass back to Mason Holgate, who slipped over, and their crowd were up in arms asking for a penalty. I think it was rightfully waved away in my eyes. The Everton fans were singing for Damari Gray to come on. Great support, by the way. The Everton fans, 3,000 on a Tuesday night in London, Carabao Cup third round. It's brilliant, as we just come to expect these days. But they were singing Damari Gray's name for 15 minutes. On 72 minutes, he was introduced for Rondon, who was knackered. He's not really had a pre-season. He's come over from China. We didn't expect much of him. I don't think he even expected to get this game time, which he's got. So I can't judge him too harshly at this stage. You know, his hold-up play against Villa looked okay. He's strong, clearly. He wasn't signed for his pace, so we'll see how he gets on. But Damari Gray, just thought that's going to give us a bit. Let's try and win this game before penalties. And soon after, we did have a penalty shout of our own. Kenny this time provided some good width on the right-hand side, good ball across, and it just looked like Decore had to hit it first time, as he did in his offside goal against Burnley. It looked like he'd actually remembered that goal and held back, stayed onside. But he just didn't hit it first time, and it was a big appeals for a penalty. You thought must have been the replay. Listen, maybe it was a penalty, but I think it would have been harsh. I thought the ref was absolutely poor tonight. He was terrible. No friend of Everton's and all that. He was shite. But fair enough on that one. I don't think it was an obvious penalty. We don't have VAR, so I just thought he still could have got his shot away first time. The looming Charlie Austin potential hat-trick was on the cards. They put a ball in from the right-hand side and he miscontrolled it. And that would have been typical, really, of the way it's suddenly, the shift in momentum seems to have gone for us at the moment this last week. And then Lucas Digne has apparently injured his ankle. I don't know if that's true. Apparently that's why he was coming off, which he's the one player when the team was announced that you thought, oh, you don't want him getting injured. Even though he's not being great this season, you sort of thought, okay, it's a strongest lineup. He's left Damari Gray off the bench, who we need to break, but you'd have loved to. Like Nkunku played in the last game, but we've got rid of him. So this would only further highlight the worrying lack of depth if Digne is injured. But he did a nice little 1-2 and created a corner, and then was brought off, which is a bit strange to bring him off at that point. Michael Keane came on and could have scored instantly with his first touch. He headed over when well positioned. And then it was the dreaded penalties. Holgate had the captain's armband at this stage and sent us to the Everton fans, and I was having visions of that Chelsea game, and this isn't quite, the Chelsea FA Cup, Baines last minute free kick, a packed away end in a cup game. Let's sort of do this. It didn't work out that way, obviously. Holgate smashed his first penalty in. Begovic didn't. I don't know whether to be how critical to be of Begovic, really. He's let in 5 goals this week, but he did make a few saves within the game. He made a good one at Villa. He made a couple of saves you'd expect him to make, but were solid saves tonight. But he doesn't inspire me with confidence. I don't think he's even on a par with Robin Olsen, really, from last season, but he didn't get anywhere near any of their penalties. In fact, one of them, I don't know how it went in. There was no replay on my perfectly legal stream. There was no replay. I think it was the one to make it 4-4 or 5-5. 5-5. Got written here. I don't know how it went in 5-5, but Holgate smashed his penalty in. Keane, great penalty. Townsend rifled his in. Damari Gray, sort of a nervous run-up, put it in. Gordon, good pen. Decore, great pen. Godfrey looked nervous, stepping up, and it was saved. And then we had the drama of he's retaken it, and the keeper was off his line. And even when Godfrey put his second penalty in, he still didn't look confident after he'd scored. He fell over and stood up and still didn't look confident. But when it came to Tom Davies, I think something inside a few of us just knew that it was it wasn't his night. This is his night to come in and press. And you know, he didn't do it. He didn't do it, and his penalty was poor. But it's not the penalty really you can blame him for. I just don't think he got involved in the game enough and did what we want to see from Tom Davis 5 years ago and still haven't seen. It's that sort of you see the game seemed to pass him by in that midfield. We lost that battle. It was only really when Decore came on that there was a bit of defense. I'd say defensive edge. So to summarise, the Everton League Cup curse continues. We're out of the Carabao Cup this year. The chances of silverware are significantly decreased. We didn't really deserve to go through. So credit to QPR for this one. But the biggest worry is possibly the injury to Lucas Digne, but more so the fact that the squad depth is not there, and so it's clear that there are going to be some more testing times to come this season. And luckily it's Norwich on Saturday, so that presents a good chance to get over the line with whatever squad we do have. But we're out. It's disappointing. I wouldn't say Benitez is himself to blame. I think it's more the recruitment policy in general, really, for this one. The injuries haven't helped, and it just hasn't gone our way tonight. Bit of luck in the penalty shootout, and it could have been different, but never mind. Please give us a like and subscribe, and be sure to check out the other videos coming soon for the Toffee Blues.